Mighty Canadian Minebuster is the Curtis D. Summers wooden coaster located at Canada's Wonderland. This ride opened with the park in 1981. It has earned the dubious nickname amongst enthusiasts called the Spinebuster. Does it really live up to this nickname though? Find out in this review. Mighty Canadian Minebuster is one of Canada's Wonderland's most iconic coasters. It opened with the park on May 23, 1981. This ride was designed by Curtis D. Summers and built in-house. The wooden coaster was modeled and cloned after the classic Shooting Star roller coaster from Cincinnati's Coney Island. Minebuster was originally intended to be the centerpiece of a themed area called Frontier Canada, Vaughan. However, that didn't come true until 2019 when Yukon Striker opened. Minebuster is a traditional out and back wooden coaster with airtime hills, banked turns, and a helix finale. Over the years, parts of the ride were adapted to accommodate the Splashworks water park, which is why some of its airtime hills are oddly drawn out pre-Retrack. While its once beloved classic thrills, the ride developed a reputation for being very rough and uncomfortable, earning the nickname Mighty Canadian Spinebuster. In the off-season of 2024, Canada's Wonderland made a major retracking project to restore the ride's smoothness in the first half. Approximately 1,000 feet of old wooden track from 1981 was removed and replaced with a new gravity group pre-cut track, a move that was welcomed by coaster enthusiasts who had long called for improvements. As of 2025, the coaster stands 90 feet tall and reaches speeds of 90 kilometers per hour, and it stretches 3,559 feet, making it the longest single-tracked wooden coaster in Canada. Back in the day, Mighty Canadian Minebuster's third hill was jaw-dropping. It used to deliver insane ejector airtime. However, in the mid-1990s, Splashworks water park's demand was so high that it had to be expanded. Therefore, the second and third hill was modified. It left it awkwardly drawn out, offering absolutely zero force. In 2025, Gravity Group swooped in like a bird and fixed it, adding the third hill back into existence. Now, the hills deliver quite good airtime. The boarding experience for Mighty Canadian Minebuster is mid. The queue gets really long and annoying, and unfortunately, there's no single rider. Minebuster has 3 train operators, but I find the operators to be pretty slow. They usually don't let you select rows. The queue line is very long usually. Post-retracking, wait times average around 45 minutes. The queue is unshaded, and lines are really long. It is just a bland series of switchbacks. There is a separate fast lane queue that dumps you off in the station. However, this is a pricey upcharge. On top of that, there's absolutely no theming. So I would recommend just getting a phone out and watching YouTube. Mighty Canadian Minebuster runs 2 3-bench PTC trains with 5 cars, each seating up to 30 riders. The restraint on these is the classic combination of a single position lap bar and a seatbelt. They used to have buzz bars, however, they were modified in the early 2000s. I personally don't mind these trains, but I know for the larger guest it can be quite uncomfortable for your thighs during the airtime moments, and the seats and trains can be a little small and cramped. Once dispatched, you make a 180-degree turn out of the station, then you ascend the 90-foot lift hill. This lift hill is slightly curved halfway up towards the right. Once you reach the top, you get a bird's-eye view of Behemoth and the Splashworks water park. You go into a pre-drop, and then you turn 90 degrees to the right, which gives good laterals throughout the train. Then you enter the first drop with a bit of sweep. If you're towards the back, you get some very strong and sustained floater airtime. Near the front, you get weaker sustained floater airtime, but it's still better than nothing. The pull-out gives a little bit of positive G's, but I certainly take it over nothing. The first hill gives some weak ejector airtime throughout the train. The second hill offers an equally powerful ejector pop throughout the train. It also has an insanely scary head chopper with the plunge water slide. This is because your butt is not touching the seat. The third hill gives a good pop of floater airtime throughout the train. It also has a downright insane head chopper with a pedestrian footbridge to Splashworks. Then it enters a surprisingly fast turnaround, giving sustained laterals throughout the train. The entrance to this turnaround gives a tiny pop of airtime in the front row. Up till this point, the ride has been glass smooth and is a very enjoyable experience. It also has very good airtime from the retracking. However, after this point, the ride loses nearly all its forces and is trying to beat you up in any way possible. You drop off the turnaround, unfortunately getting no airtime. The next bunny hill is one that turns slightly to the left on the descent. No airtime, no laterals, just some jackhammering. You do have another nice hedge hopper with the footbridge though. Then you enter another airtime hill that banks to the left, morphing into a double down on the way down. The first time gives a tiny pop of bouncy airtime in the back row. After another hedge hopper, you head into an awkward section of straight track that literally makes Ride of Steel happy, subtly banking to the left, and then you head into Minebuster's infamous helix. This helix is notoriously rough. It bounces you around. It always slams you with violent laterals as you are pinned to the side of the train for about 10 seconds. You then enter a tunnel which sounds like people are dying due to the scream echoes, and then you pop into the brake run. You abruptly decelerate, then head back into the station, ending the 3,828 foot or 1,166 meter long coaster. I think that Minebuster is being too heavily criticized. Especially after the retrack, it makes the first half a very enjoyable experience and worth the 45-minute wait. That said, the second half is simply no cause because it causes pain and has no forces whatsoever except for that awful helix. I expect them to retrack that section in the 2025 off-season and be ready for the 2026 season though. So I think the ride will improve significantly and potentially make the top 5 at Canada's Wonderland. So what would I rate Minebuster? I would give this Canadian Woody a 6.5 out of 10. I think that is worth the wait, especially after the retrack solely due to the first half's greatness. If you ever head over, it's a good idea to get at least one ride for the credit. You'll also enjoy the ride quite a bit. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like. Shit. That's gonna be